Welcome to the Social Sciences class. Myself Varalakshmi, your Social Sciences teacher. How are you? I think good. So, now we are going to learn about 10th class second lesson, Ideas of Development. Ideas of Development. What is the main aspects of the ideas of development? What is the main indicators of the ideas of development? Let us know about the aspirational goal. We know first aspirational goal. Different people have different type of aspirations or goals. So, let us some examples of aspirations of different people. First one, we go to the landless rural laborer. Next, prosperous farmers. And third, farmers who depend on rain for growing crops. Fourth, a rural woman from a land-owning family. Fifth, urban unemployed youth. And sixth one, a boy from a rich urban family. The seventh, the girl from a rich urban family. And eighth, an Adivasi from mining fields. Ninth, person from fishing community in the coastal area. These are different people. These are different occupational taking people. So, these people are take different occupations. So, all people are aspirations are not same. Different people think different type of aspirations. So, landless rural labor aspirations. What is the meaning of the aspiration? A object of a person's aim or effort is called aspiration or goal. So, landless rural labor aspiration. Landless rural labor wants to do more work for more wages, and the local schools provide good quality of education for their children, and there is no discrimination in their village, and they want to develop as a leaders in their village. So, this particular things is the landless rural labor aspirations or goals. And prosperous farmers. What do you want the prosperous farmers? The prosperous farmers want the more crop for cultivation and more facility for the cultivation and more prices for their crops. And so third one, farmers who depend on rain for growing crops. So what is the main aspiration of the farmers who depend on the growing crops? So they want to more irrigation facilities. They want to more crops for cultivation. They want to more fertilizers for cultivation, and they want to more prices for their crops. And fourth one, a rural woman from a land-owning family. A woman wants to the permanent structure on their land. A woman wants to the more water facility on her land. And fifth one, urban unemployed youth. What is the main aspiration of the urban unemployed youth? So, urban unemployed youth wants to they get more jobs, they get more earnings for their living. And sixth one, a boy from a rich urban family. What is the main aspiration of the rich urban family boy? The boy wants to the more education and quality education for important and famous universities, and they want to go to abroad for good quality of education. And seventh one, a girl from a rich urban family. What is the main aspiration of the rich urban family's girl? So the girl wants to be as same her brother. He wants to further studies. He wants to go to abroad for the further studies as her brother. So eighth, an Adivasi from mining fields. What is the labor aspiration? What is the mining field labor aspiration? Now we discuss about Adivasi. Very crucial role. They are playing crucial role in the mining fields. The Adivasis wants to the accidental free work in the mining fields, and they wants to the more salaries, more remuneration and bonus for their children, and they wants to the good health also. And ninth one, person from fishing community in the coastal area. What is the main aspiration of the fisherman? Fishermen wants to the more fish for catching and more prizes for their fishes, and they are not want to the disasters in the fishing community in the coastal area. So in the coastal areas, the fishermen play the crucial and key role. They have different aspirations. They want to catch the more fishes, and they want to good prices for their fishes. And did you understand these aspirations? So aspiration is not the same of all the people. Aspirations is different aspects. Different people have different type of aspirations. For example, a girl in rich family in the urban area. The girl wants to treat the same as her brother, and they wants to her brother also help to their houses in the household work. So the girl aspiration is different, but her brother aspiration is not the same. Their brother may not think the same. So the girl is different, the fisherman is different, landless labor is development is the not same of all the people, all the countries, all the departments. So development is different type of aspiration. So now we are going to first concept, the human history on the time scale.
Students, please observe this picture. How do we understand the development if we think of human history on a time scale? Who is developed? Who is not developed? Number has hunter-gatherers about 2 lakh years ago. So, this picture indicates the number as hunter-gatherers about 2 lakh years ago. And second, number of years since we began agriculture, 12,000 years ago. And third one, number of years since modern industries from about 400 years ago. So, this picture explains 3 important aspects. First one is number of hunter-gatherers. Second one, agriculture begin from how many years? Third one, modern industries begin from how many years? So, this picture explains 2 lakh years ago hunter-gathering is started, and agriculture is started from 12,000 years ago, and Industry started from about 400 years ago. Next we go to another example. Kodamkulam nuclear power project is in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu state. We go to the another example. If even the idea of what constitutes development can be varied and conflicting, then certainly there can be differences about ways of developing. So the ongoing protest over the Kodamkulam nuclear power project in the Tirunelveli district of Tamil Nadu is one such conflict. The government of India set up the nuclear power plant in this quite coastal town of Fisher Forks. The aim is to generate nuclear power to meet the growing energy needs of the country. The people in the region have protested on the grounds of safety, security, and livelihood. A long struggle has ensued. Scientists, environmentalists, social activists who have been critical of project have stood by the people. Letters of protests to the government state you are unable or unwilling to appreciate that in nuclear energy we are confronted not only with an immense power but also an incredible potential for destruction. We want our coast and country protected from the radioactive peril. Stop the project. Look to renewable energy as an alternative. The government has responded that the plant has all the safety measures and despite protests is going ahead with the project. So, how can we understand these two aspects? The first one is Kodamkulam located in the coastal area. Fishermen depends upon the seashore and fishing. But the government started nuclear power plant in this region. But the fishermen not accepted. Why? Because this area completely polluted by the nuclear power plant. The environmentalists and socialists and scientists also accepted the coastal region people aspiration. But the government think about nuclear power generation. So, according to this picture, we observe two aspects. First, the government thinking about nuclear power generation. Second, the people thinking about pollution. So, the government have to develop the nuclear power for next generations, but the people not accepted the government's opinion. So, these are two different aspects. First one is government development, automatically the people's development and country's development. The second one is loss of the fisherman. The fisherman only depends on the fishing in this region. If the government started this project, the fishermen completely lost their occupation. So, this picture explains two important concepts. Two things are quite clear from the above discussion. Different persons can have different developmental goals, and what may be developed for one may not be developed for other. It may even be destructive for other. Okay, students, please observe this picture also. You will notice one common thing. This picture explains income and other goals. What people desire are regular work, better wages, and decent price for their crops or other products that they produce. In other words, they want more income. So, besides seeking more income, one way or other, people also seek things like equal treatment, freedom, security, and respect from others. They resent discrimination. All these are important goals. In fact, in some cases, this may be more important than more income or more consumption, because material goods are not all that you need to live. Money or material things that one can buy with it are one factor on which our life depends. But the quality of our life also depend on non-material things mentioned above. If it is not obvious to you, then just think of the role of your friends in your life. You may desire their friendship. Similarly, there are many things that are not easily measured but mean a lot to our lives. These are often ignored. Therefore, it will be wrong to conclude that what cannot be measured is not important. Okay? Consider another example. If you get a job in a far-off place, you would try to consider many factors apart from income. These could be facilities for your family, working atmosphere, or opportunity to learn. In another case, a job may give you less pay but may offer regular employment that enhances your sense of security. Another job, however, may offer high pay but no job security and also leave no time for your family. This will reduce your sense of security and freedom. So similarly, for development, people look at a mix of goals. It is true that if women are engaged in the paid work, the family income increases and their dignity in the household and society increases. It is also the case that if there is a respect for women, there would be more sharing of household and a greater acceptance of women. Working outside a safe and secure environment may allow more women to take up a variety of jobs or run a business. So, the developmental goals that people have are not only about better income but also about other important things in life. Did you understand, students? Okay. How to compare different countries or states? So, how to compare developed countries or developing countries? Developed states or developing states? Which indicators include in the developed or developing? Now we learn about which countries are the developed countries, which countries are the developing countries. When we compare different things, they could have differences. Which aspects do we use to compare them? How do we compare different students? They differ in their height, health, talents and interests. The healthiest student may not be the most studious one. The most intelligent student may not be the friendliest one. So, how do we compare students? The criterion we may use depends on the purpose of comparison. We use different criteria to choose a sports team, a debate team, a music team, or a team to organize a picnic. Still, if for some purpose we have to choose the criteria for the all-round progress of the children in the class, how do we do it? So, as usually, the countries also compared the people's education, health, lifespan and income also. So, comparison between countries' total income is not a such useful measure. Since countries have different populations, comparing total income will not tell us what an average person is likely to earn. Are people in one country better off than others in different country? We compare the average income, which is total income of the country divided by total population. This average income is also called per capita income. Did you understand per capita income? So, this criterion is used in World Development Report brought out by the World Bank of classified countries. Countries with per capita income of US dollars 12,600 and above per annum in 2012 are called high income countries or rich countries. Those with per capita income of US dollars 1,035 or less per annum in 2012 are called low income countries. Until less than a decade ago, India came in the category of low income countries. Now it falls under the category of middle income countries. As the per capita income in India rose faster than that of many countries, its position is improved. We will read more about growth of incomes of people in India in the next chapter. Okay, the rich countries, excluding countries of West Asia and certain other small countries, are generally called developed countries. While averages are useful for comparison, they also hide disparities. For example, let us consider two countries A and B. For the sake of simplicity, we have assumed that they have only 5 citizens each. Based on a data given in table 2, calculate the average income for both countries. So, observe this table. What explains this table? According to this table, in a country A, all the 5 persons are earning mostly equal monthly income. In the country B, the first 4 persons are earning only 500 each, but 50th person is earning 48,000 rupees per month. If you are the 5th one, it is okay. But if you are one among the first 4, it will be worse to live in. If we consider the average, it will be the same as 10,000 per person per month. In these two countries, the country A has more equitable distribution of income. In many countries, more income is there with a few persons. Many people in the countries are poor. They don't have minimum amount of income for their livelihoods. In the above table, the average income of the two countries is the same, but in B is not equally distributed. the gross domestic product is to be distributed among the people of the country. That means the poor also have to get their share in the country. The gap between the poor and the rich is to be removed, and so the society of equality emerged. So next, income and other criteria. When we looked at individual aspirations and goals, we found that people not only think of better income but also have goals such as security, respect of others, equal treatment, freedom, etc. in mind. Similarly, when we think of a nation or a region, we may, besides average income, think of other equally important attributes. So, please look at this table also, students. 3 states are here. The first one is Punjab. Punjab per capita income according to 2012, 78,000 rupees. And Himachal Pradesh per capita income 74,000 rupees. And Bihar per capita income 25,000 rupees. So, what could these attributes be? Let us examine this through an example. Next, so according to this table, Punjab is the highest per capita income state. Next, we go to another example, some comparative data of selected states. So, please observe the table also. Some comparative data of selected states, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh and Bihar also. Punjab IMR per 1000, literacy rate, net attendance rate. Same Himachal Pradesh IMR, literacy rate, net attendance rate. Bihar IMR, literacy rate and net attendance rate. So IMR means infant mortality rate. Out of 1,000 live children born, the number of children who die within 1 year is called IMR. So what is literacy? How can we calculate the literacy rate? It measures the percentage of literate population in the 7 and above age group and net attendance rate. Out of total number of children in age group 6 to 17, the percentage of children attending school is called net attendance rate. So, according to this table, Punjab IMR 42, literacy rate 77% and net attendance 76. Himachal IMR 36, literacy rate 84, net attendance rate 90. Bihar IMR 62, literacy rate 64, net attendance rate 56. So, this table shows that in Himachal Pradesh, out of 1,000 children born alive, 36 died before completing 1 year of age. In Punjab, the proportion of the children dying within 1 year of birth is 42. In Bihar, half of the children of school-going age do not attend the school. So, according to this table, the Himachal Pradesh is developed than other states. Did you understand? Public facilities. Government provide different type of public facilities like schools, hospitals, public distribution systems and roads, power lines, water facilities like that. So, these are the important aspects to develop the people. For example, some states developed by the more public facilities, some states not developed by the less public facilities. Some states provide more public facilities, some states provide less public facilities. Some states have lesser infant mortality rate because they have adequate provision of basic health and educational facilities. Similarly, in some states, the public distribution system functions well. If a PDS shop, public distribution system shop, ration shops does not function properly in such places, the people there are able to get it rectified. Health and nutritional status of people of such state is certainly likely to be better. So, which state provide more public facilities, automatically that state developed. Which state not provide public facilities, the particular people are not developed. Next we go to Human Development Report. Human Development Report is the main indicator of the country developed or not developed. When we release that even though the level of income is important, it is an adequate measure of the level of development, we begin to think of other criterion. There could be a long list of such criteria, but then it would not be so useful. What we need is a small number of the most important things. Health and educational indicators, such as the ones we use to comparison of Kerala and Punjab, are among them. Over the past decade or so, health and educational indicators have come to be widely used along with income as a measure of development. For instance, Human Development Report published by the United Nations Development Programme UNDP compares countries based on the educational levels of the people, their health status and per capita income also. Next we go to the development as progress over time. Some countries are ahead of others in terms of human development indicators. Similarly, some states have better indicators of human development. Though within a state there may be variations. Some districts may be more advanced than others. Remember, comparison and ranks have little used by itself. They are only useful if these indicators can make us think in meaningful ways as to why are some so behind the others. Low performance on any of the human development indicators is a sign that certain aspect of people's lives needs more attention. Alternately, we could ask why are some ahead of others. Let us look closely at what has come to be called the schooling revolution in Himachal Pradesh. It has some interesting insights of offer, particularly how so many factors need to come together to make a change possible. Development is indeed a complex phenomenon. At the time of Indian independence, like most of the states in India, Himachal Pradesh had very low levels of education. Being a hilly region with low density of a population in many villages, spread of schools particularly to the rural areas appeared as a big challenge. However, both of the government of Himachal Pradesh and the people of the state were keen on education. How to translate this aspiration to reality for all the children? The government started schools and made sure that education was largely free or cost of very little for parents. Further, it tried to ensure that these schools had at least the minimum facilities of teachers, classrooms, toilets, drinking water, etc. As the years went by, these facilities were improved and expanded. More schools were opened and teachers were appointed so that many more children could study easily. Of course, to open schools and run these well, the government had to spend money among the Indian states. Himachal Pradesh has a distinction of one of the highest spending from the government budget on education of each child. In year 2005, the average spending on education by the government in Indian states was 1049 per child. Himachal Pradesh was spending 2005 per child. The high priority on education paid off. In an intensive survey on schooling done 1996 and repeated in 2006, students in Himachal Pradesh come to school enthusiastically. An overwhelming proportion of students enjoyed their schooling experience. The teacher loves us and teaches us well, said some student of Himachal Pradesh. Enrolled in class 4 in village in Chamba, the children had dreams of studying till higher classes to aspirations to be policemen, scientists and teachers. The attendance rate was very high in primary classes and also among older children. So the norm in Himachal Pradesh has come to best at least 10 years of schooling for children. In Himachal Pradesh, the girl education also very high. The girls equal to go to the school for boys. So the well educated people working in the Himachal Pradesh, the women empowerment also done by the Himachal Pradesh government. The Himachal Pradesh women also working in outside and they earn more money. Automatically, the Himachal Pradesh families are well developed and women also empowered by the more jobs. They are economically, socially developed because the Himachal Pradesh government provided more schools, number of teachers and more facilities for the girls and women. The government completed the women empowerment. So, the Himachal Pradesh is better than other states for the school education. So, the Himachal Pradesh women are economically independent and self-confident. Himachal Pradesh mothers expect their daughters to work outside home after marriage. The comparison across 2 different years indicative of development that has happened. There has been a greater development in the schooling and spread of education in Himachal Pradesh than India as a whole. Though there is still a lot of difference in the average levels of education among boys and girls also. Across genders, there has been some progress towards greater equality in the recent years in the Himachal Pradesh. So, Himachal Pradesh state is developed than other states. So, students, I think you understood all concepts of this lesson. I try to explain another lesson for next class. Thank you.